Our first guest grew up homeless with his mom but has turned his life around. He has received the Harvard Outstanding Man of the Year Vanguard Award, the National Urban League Leadership and Achievement Award, and the Princeton University Excellence Award. He is a national motivational speaker, philanthropist, businessman, superstar, sports agent, and has worked with some of entertainment's elite from music to motion pictures. Folks like Michael Bloomberg, Mayor of New York, LL Cool J, David Banner, Switch Beats, 50 Cent, and boxing promoter Don King, just to name a few. Now here we go. He has received the key to two cities of Durham, North Carolina, and Great Falls, Montana. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the incredible media mogul, Mr. Glenn Toby. Woo! Yes. Did I get you good enough, Mr. Toby? Did I ham you up pretty good?
Oh, amazing. You got another career. You could be in boxing, bro. I love it.
Well, I want to say thank you so much, sir, because I know you're an incredibly busy individual for gracing us here at Nyghtstorms All Action New Talk. So we're going to get into some real serious stuff, okay? We're going to talk about your projects that you got coming up in a little bit, but let's just talk more about you, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, a lot of folk out there, because, see, there's a very little secret that's known to most people that Glenn Toby was actually a rapper back in the day. Am I right?
Yes, Sweetie G from Queens.
Sweetie G from Queens, man. I mean, so basically, when you're coming up through your career, okay, because you've worn so many hats over the years. You've been an entrepreneur, you've been an entertainer, you've been a sports agent. You know, which line of business do you think you learn the most about real life?
Wow. I think I would have to say the music industry in terms of hip-hop, because in terms of artistry, you know, being there at the beginning of hip-hop, being one of the pioneers in hip-hop, we went from a pure art form, a form of expression. You know, hip-hop and rap music has always been like the CNN for urban community, the hood, and many pieces of society. So learning how to bridge and balance the artistic piece with the business piece, I think taught me a lot about business in general and also the humanities.
Beautiful. Okay, so let me ask you this, because I know right now in hip-hop there is this stigma that, you know, if you're smart and intelligent, then you're lame. Okay, I don't know where this came from in hip-hop right now. I know all the hip-hop artists are not doing this, but there are some out there, and some young folk out there are listening, and they saying, oh, you smart, you want to be a businessman, then you lame. Okay, now you, as the mega media mogul that you are, who came from the bottom and who was in hip-hop's inception, one of the godfathers of hip-hop, I may say, can you kind of enlighten young folk who are in this frame of mind that to be intelligent, to be a CEO, to be a businessman is not lame, but it's about real-world tactics applying to corporate America?
Yeah, I would say to younger people, a good example would be when you play video games, there's some people that they have a natural ability to play those video games and they win all the time. And you have some people that have the cheat codes. Now, some people have a balance of being able to play with the cheat code, and some have the natural ability. But the same way people have to practice and have a great understanding of how the emergence of technology is, whether it's put in a practical sense, which is looking through a manual, or if you're the kind of person that's intuitive and is a natural learner, then, you know, you learn in a natural way by practicing, by winning, losing the game. As fast as the game is updated, as fast as technology moves, imagine if you are not adapting to technology by learning, by applying the sciences, the wisdom, the understanding, and the discipline. You know, you literally won't be able to survive in this society. You couldn't start your car 10 years from now. You couldn't operate electronic equipment. You couldn't figure a lot of the new technologies out. So just to show you how the rudiments and the basic element of education is so important, you have people that are generally more educated than the person that they're building the device, the platform for. So that's how much more you have to learn every day. The person that's teaching you knows more than you. You have to catch up. So, time is moving so fast. It's not like before you had a curve. Like, for instance, you might have, if you're a kid in school, you have a year or 2 years to catch up, or summer school. We have to catch up minute to minute. That's how fast the emergence of technology is.
I'm so happy you brought that up because, because see, Toby and I, we've been raising 7 children, 6 surviving, and we got kids in college. One just got married and graduated from college, kids in high school, and they come to us all the time saying, Dad, we trying to do this thing, and, just some of my friends just say, I could be a boss, I could be a CEO, and I don't need an education. And, we quickly, tell them, okay, they're living in a dream world, but some folk you just can't tell them that. You have to show. And one thing that really, really impressed me about you, sir, is this Harvard Outstanding Man of the Year Vanguard Award. This is something that is not easily attainable by just any average Joe Blow or any person that's in corporate or business or doing anything significant. This stuff is hard to get. And you, sir, the Harvard Outstanding Man of the Year Vanguard Award, can you tell us a little bit about that and how you were able to become the Vanguard Award recipient, sir?
Well, that award meant a lot to me because I'm obviously, I'm not a member of an Ivy League university. I didn't graduate Harvard University. So for them to choose me based on my work, based on the results of the work, and the beautiful people that have supported me in this, that's why it meant so much to me, because I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. So if you have Harvard University and Ivy League people and these, what I would call these brilliant minds to acknowledge the hard work, that work was based on discipline, research, education, integrity, and vision. So, for them to acknowledge that work only shows me I have so much more to do. I was blessed with that because one of my sports clients is a gentleman by the name of Samir Lane, who was an Olympic finalist in last year's Olympics, and he is the epitome of what you would call a academic. And he introduced me to that board, and several of the people in the university looked at the work. They based my life performance, my life skills and accomplishments, and gave it to me. So it meant a lot to me. But, when I got the award, I put that down and realized I have to get back to work. And my real work in the street was the Book Bank Foundation, which is a nonprofit charity where education is, and it's based on the premise of critical thinking, education, motivation, and networking across the country to get people to use their own natural resources to make a change. So when I get the ultimate reward, the ultimate award is when I have connected with somebody in the community or the community and there's a change. That's the ultimate piece that I've enjoyed of having that platform.
Yes, sir, and I'm so happy you brought that up because that's very important because I want to kind of, as they say, flip the script because it's all good to be the CEO and to have the suit, but you also, sir, you can break it down and be street. And when you was the agent and you working with so many influential people in the entertainment business, we talking about heavy hitters here. We talking about LL Cool J. We talking about David Banner, Swiss Beats, and 50 Cent. You're able to actually get a hold of these folks and have them come out and help the communities that actually need it. So it's one way you can be around the Ivy League and corporate America with your suits and everything, but then it's another thing where you can actually bring it down and be with the people with incredible entertainers who the people know and respect. So how were you able to flip that script from one side of the Ivy League to the other side of being able to also represent the street with a lot of street cred, brother? How were you able to do that?
Well, I'm from the streets, so that part was organic. And as a natural, I try to be a natural and intelligent man and advance myself through common thinking. I've always been surrounded by a loving family. And I looked at it as, Charles Fisher managed LL Cool J first, and he brought me in. I was on the management team, a co-manager, so it wasn't just me. It's always been a team. So we managed Cool J for 4 years, and that brought me into the light of other prominent agents. Alonzo Shavers, he was the agent of an agency that I bought into and became a partnership in that and developing. So you have other people like, say, 50 Cent. I never managed 50 Cent. I worked with 50 Cent. I've had the honor of advising him in philanthropy, and he, as a brother that comes from the same neighborhood that I've come through and come from, has always been a very big supporter of mine. He's given us money. He's given us his time, his inspiration, and that whole G-Unit family has been supportive of me. Same thing with Swiss Beats. I've never managed Swiss Beats, but Swiss Beats has put so much into my foundations, and we've had discussions, and I've consulted and advised him. So, I mean, I think that's part of it too. Like, you don't have to take up all the space. You have to know where you fit in. Some relationships are not going to bring you cash. Some relationships are not going to bring you a shine, or you won't even be acknowledged. It's about creating value. When you have value in your thought process and value in your ideals and in your workmanship and what you can contribute, people have to have you in the equation. You're not going to fit in every one, because I'm oftentimes in equations where I bring good energy or good opportunities to people that I've given a shot to develop themselves and help develop me, and it doesn't work out, and they go insane. You know, they start, throwing rocks at you, creating things that don't exist. And that kind of thing is healthy too, because it makes you re-examine to see what you could have done better. And I think that resiliency, that pure approach to resolve, that effort, that hard work always makes the condition. So, I think it's so many components that have brought me through this amongst these greater men and women, and has given me a shine, because I try to bring value and I try not to take up too much space.
Well,
excuse me. You made a transition from music and being around the hip-hop nation and things going on there into entertainment and sports. I mean, you had clients like Asante Samuel and Antonio Freeman. How did you make that move to be, I've seen the videos and they're saying, oh, yeah, he used to have the battle parties with Russell Simmons and everything, to move over into the sports arena and be involved with people like Don King and Josh Evans and things of that nature. What made you say, okay, let me step back and look over here at this?
Well, again, it's bringing value, and it's being a hard worker. You have to outwork everybody that you want to be a part of. When they're sleeping and they're so far ahead of you, you have to just outwork them to get to where you're supposed to be. And today, most people try to outwork the other guy to be better or be more than what he is. You have to be try to be more than what you were born, and try to be more than what you think your abilities are. So I was always involved in a referral basis. So I did great work with Cool J, so that got me to David Banner. I did great work with David Banner, so that got me to the next client. And of course, I met Alonzo Shavers, who's one of the top agents in the game. He liked my work in marketing, management, my negotiating skills. We talked. We put together a partnership. We had the joy of selling a company. I worked with Charles Fisher. He's the person that brought me into the LL Cool J. So when you do this work, you have to make enough space, okay? And when I say you don't want to take everything up, because you can't do everything yourself. I've always been able to work with a team. I've always been able to bring value and just work hard. So, it's just been a blessing. So the work that I've done, the finished work, has created opportunities for me to work again.
Okay. So there was never any doubt in your mind, obviously not, because if there were, you wouldn't be where you are. But when you're sitting there in this opportunity to get into the sports arena, the sports, in that genre, and you're like, all I know is, music. What made you take that leap and say, hey, I can do this over here too?
Well, what happened was my partner, Alonzo, he was a sports agent. So, he was a certified NFLPA registered rep. And he was starting out. So what I brought to the table was funding. What I brought to the table was business development ideas, marketing, management, assisting in recruiting. And some of the other players, like you mentioned, some of the greatest that have ever lived, Antonio Freeman. Antonio saw my work with Asante. He saw my work with Josh Evans. A lot of the public never sees the work that we do behind the scenes. Right. When you see a player that is registered with CAA, a big sports agency, or Drew Rosenhaus, there's so many people involved that are critical to their success. And me specifically, I played such a role through the years, whether it's with world champion boxers, whether it's my work with Don King as an advisor or consultant. I mean, so there's so many pieces to it. A lot of people are just not informed. So they'll read what they read, or they try to assume what it takes to win, and you've got so many different elements. Like there was one time in the 80s, the business was different than it was in the 90s. Even in entertainment, like there's 360-degree deals, okay? And these 360 deals allow record companies to participate in the share of all the revenue and the earnings for recording artists. In the 70s, it was different. And generally in our communities, when those things change, our people that aren't educated, that have no clue, have no idea how this system works.
They just want to get in and get paid.
They want to get in, they want to get paid, or they want your seat, or they want your car, or they want your house, or they want your life. And, they can only have what they have, and they'll nitpick, and they'll poke around, and they can't find anything because they don't know the truth. And the truth is generally in our business, it's pretty quiet. We have non-disclosure orders that as an agent or representative, you can't disclose how you've done your deal or what capacity you represent the client. And the client will never do it either. A lot of times the client will spin the person that's trying to get to the top. They'll spin them around and get them to talk, and they talk, and you can hear everything that the competition or the enemy or the media, it could be a media person who's just looking to spin a story. Most of the time they're spinning a story that you created to keep them outside of your castle.
Wow. All right, so we have gone from music, and then we go into sports, and now we're in film and television. All right.
Yeah.
So we just keep it moving, just keep reinventing ourselves.
Mr. Toby is a jack of all trades. That's all I got to say. I mean, that's a phenomenal individual. I mean, that's my 2 cents. Go right ahead, sweetheart.
Well, we're getting ready to take a small break, and when we come back, Mr. Toby, we're going to get into your documentary, on solutions to overcoming poverty. We have your STOP acronyms here, STOP, and we want to talk more about homelessness. We want to talk about this documentary. We want to talk about how you got involved in making this movie and the things that are going on, and all of that is going to come up right after this break.
Only on Nyghtstorms All Action New Talk on Blogtalkradio. See you in a minute.
What time is it?
Oh my God, it's 7 o'clock. We got to get on Blog Talk Radio.
What? Really? We got to go, man. What are they talking about?
Oh, it's this great show, Nyghtstorms All Action New Talk, where they talk about everything that has to do with our life.
Real people talking about real issues with real solutions?
Exactly. All we have to do is get on the phone and call 646-915-8189, or we can log in and join the chat room.
Well, give me the phone then. What you waiting on?
I don't know. I'm grabbing the computer. Homelessness and poverty are inextricably linked. It has been predicted that by the year 2030, more than 2/3 of the Earth's population will be living below their basic needs.
The problems that we face in this country no longer have borders. It is worldwide. If you look at the economic crisis, it's not just the United States of America. It has nothing to do with a new president that's come into office or the old administration. This is something that's been developing and going on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. It's the worst we've ever seen. There is no divide when it comes to the needs of the people, the needs of humanity, and the issues that we're facing today.
Okay, we are back on Nyghtstorms All Action New Talk, and we have the incredible Glenn Toby on, and we just heard an excerpt, sir, from your documentary, STOP, of Solutions to Overcoming Poverty. And can you get into why you made this documentary and what kind of influence you had as far as your real-world life experience and some things that you've seen out there? Because, sir, you have traveled and you've seen some mighty awful things out there. Can you elaborate on that, sir?
Yeah, as a child, I was never a victim, but I was a witness to poverty and homelessness. My mother, she had a nervous breakdown. A hard, strong woman, refused to compromise her soul, worked hard, and things set in. And I had unstable living. Like sometimes we live in shelters. We'd live with family members. You know, social intervention would be in the place, and there's my brother, my mother, myself, my grandmother. And, you know, we fought as best we could to stay a nuclear family and keep our pieces together at that time. And, you know, when I look back at my life, I realized it was a lot of love. There was a lot of faith and prayer, and obviously education. And I read a lot of books. You know, I was, like, obsessed with reading books. And I realized that education was the key. You know, obviously the spirit. We have the spiritual bank. Mm-hmm. We have a financial bank. We have an emotional bank, an intellectual bank. And when you put deposits into that bank and you balance it right, you'll have a surplus and have a good account. If you don't manage that bank, you end up with deficits. You end up being overdrawn. So I realized when we feed the spiritual bank, the mental, the emotional, the financial, that's where it goes. So I used to feed my book bank. I used to collect books at the library. I used to take them out, read them, and I realized I put book and bank together, and that's the foundation that I founded. And, you know, it's based on an awareness for education. We try to combat illiteracy and the diseases from a lack of education, which are generally drug abuse, homelessness, incarceration, violence, and, you know, people who are not economically stable. So I looked at the work that we have done over those 4 years. It's something we do called Shelter. You know, from the streets, we've been doing it for many years now, and we go in the tunnels, we go sometimes under bridges, we go in the subways, we go into churches, all throughout the city, homeless shelters, and we've been doing it for so many years. And I had collected so much footage over 4 years, and I met a friend who's now a great director. His name is Jay Douglas. He's in Hollywood. He's a filmmaker, a director, and an editor. And I showed him my work, and he said, "Hey, I know you want to do this as a filmmaker, because I'm a new director. You know, this is something new to me. I've directed a few shorts. I've directed some online pieces." And he saw value in my work, and I decided to dedicate myself to it full time. And he even became the editor of this piece. And Jay is a brilliant filmmaker himself, but he believed in the cause so much that he slid over, and he supported me as I am the director, and I created this film. But his work, his vision, you know, the president of my company, Lisa Patterson, Adela. I mean, there's so many people that I can't even name, you know, that have been a part of it. All the members of my foundation and these new communities who are emerging. There's somebody called Invisible People, this brother that's doing great work, coming up with solutions. He's giving people a voice to be able to talk about what it's like to be homeless, letting the homeless people talk and express themselves and showing the world inside their lives. You know, I dealt with Praz. Praz is in my film. And a lot of really top leaders of the world. Cammie Rice, who is a philanthropist and an entrepreneur as well. She's married to John Rice, who's the co-executive chair of GE. So there's so many different people that are involved from all walks of life, all ages, all races, all religions, all economic areas of life. And instead of just talking about what's wrong, we're coming up with practical solutions and methods on how we can eradicate homelessness, because it can be done. A friend of mine, I just met, Mark, had given me a little education. Even today I was talking to him about it, and there's been a homeless issue since 1929. It was brought to my attention that during the Great Flood in Mississippi, there was a great divide. If you look at Reconstruction, when we were in slavery, there was so much displacement with our people that were slaved that we never looked at that as homelessness, but that was homelessness. I mean, you went from being cattle, an animal, a possession, to trying to find home and stability. So it's always been a cyclical part of humanity. And if people believe in a parity and believe in working together, and they take a look at some of these solutions that we're putting together in the film, it's going to come out in the second quarter of 2014. We're obviously going to be, you know, showing you little bits and pieces, teasers, doing some screenings. But I think collectively with some of the greatest minds in the world, we've shot all around the world in this film, we have some solutions that will make a difference, and we can stop poverty if we work it with our collective time, minds, and talents.
Well, I'm so happy that you have brought this up and you're doing this work and you're bringing a serious light to what a lot of people consider darkness. Because I was, just looking at stuff, the homeless population is about 50% African American, 35% white, 12% Hispanic, 2% Native American, and 1% Asian. So it's happening to everybody. But when I hear folk like yourself talk about this, I have a real-world perspective because it's very sensitive to me because I myself was homeless 20 years ago. And when you talk about the invisible people, I felt invisible as I was sleeping on the street and 3 kids urinated on me simply because they felt that they could. And even when I was chased those jerks around and I got arrested by Atlanta Police Department and they threw me in jail for a couple of hours because the kids said I was trying to rob them. And I'm like, look, they urinated on me. And they said, oh, no, he urinated on himself. And I still got arrested, okay? So I had to sit here and deal with the fact that being homeless, just that simple state of existence, means you don't exist, that no one cares about you. And even once I got out of jail for those couple of hours, I was back on the street and I was still sleeping. I was so tired from trying to find work, from trying to get in the shelters. And a lot of the shelters said they were for, women and children only. Okay, and here I am, a 19-year-old kid, grown man, and I couldn't get anywhere. So I had no choice but to sleep on the street some more, and I felt hopeless. And, sir, when I tell you about folk helping people and reaching back, there was this gentleman who got out of a Rolls Royce. He saw me sleeping on the street, an older gentleman. He got out, and he said, young man, are you cold? And I said, yes, sir, I am. So he took off, Glenn, his wool Argyle socks, and these things are expensive, and he gave them to me, and he said, put these on your feet. And it's a shame that my shoe size doesn't fit yours. I would give you my shoes. But I want you to know that God cares about you. And when you get there and when you get your blessing and when you make it out of this situation and you get to a point where you are successful, don't ever, ever forget these days when no one saw you. Use that experience to see the people that you can help in the future. And that's what gives me perspective, because I've gone through a litany of traumatic issues in my life. And that's why, just like you, sir, I travel around and I help folk. I do what I can. But when I come across individuals like yourself, I just want to tell you, as someone who lived that experience, you are one of my heroes because you would have been a person who saw me. And that is an incredible feat. And a lot of people don't understand what it means to be invisible. When you're sitting right there in front of somebody and they walk right past you as if you're not there, you might as well be dead. You might as well be a ghost. No one even expects you to move from this spot. They expect you to be planted there. They expect for you to die there. And it was terrible. But like I said, I thank God for people like yourself, for that gentleman who got out of his car, who saw me. You, sir, you see people. And that's why people connect with you. That's why you were able to come out of your own state when you were out there on the streets. And you were able to find success because you saw the needs that people had. And you saw solutions in order to help real people. And
what I really like about this fact is that he's humble. Even we're talking about the stuff that you're doing now. You're always bringing in your team. You're always bringing in, everyone helps. So we really appreciate that. And I was online, too, and I looked up your documentary. And, it said it's a film that explores the root causes and efforts of poverty on a global level, based on the premise that education and compassion is the first step towards battling poverty. Stop focuses on solutions on a worldwide audience and as what your responsibility is in the fight to end poverty. Now, is that, basically how you sum up your documentary of what's going on there, Mr. Toby?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think you'll see in this film, I went to New Orleans just after the Hurricane Katrina, and you'll hear me speak to a woman that gives you from her heart. Most of the media shows people complaining, making it look like everybody wants free money for insurance or welfare. They hate the rich, and they're blaming somebody. Now, a lot of these people have tremendous amounts of compassion. They just want to be able to work. They just want sustainability, and they have their own solutions. And most of those solutions begin with them helping themselves up. Now, the second piece is I've also spoken with the leader of HIV/AIDS, where he discusses, how debilitating causes in health choices, life choices, food choices, and sustainability leads to a higher propensity of people, not protecting themselves, being educated, whether it's getting AIDS, whether it's having kids they can't afford, whether it's not eating properly, whether it's not having access to the right treatment, or how to, if you can't read, how are you going to even follow the doctor's instruction to read on the pill and the medicine bottle? So, I spoke to the head of the CDC. I've spoken to leaders, world leaders around the world who are giving practical and real solutions. Some of these people are billionaires. Some of these people have absolutely no money. And because it's a collective effort, and because it's so many wonderful people who have been sacrificing for this film to be made, and I want to say some of those people are obviously Jay Douglas, Lisa Patterson, Adila Halim, the Book Bank Foundation, and every member that I've ever met, Angie Collins, who the main reason I even got on this interview and met you amazing people, Hand Entertainment, Invisible People. There's so many just amazing souls that I've touched and have reached out and touched me that are the reason I have this platform and are the reason I have a voice to get this work done. This is the people's film. You have got to go to this Facebook, go to my Facebook, go to Instagram, go to Indigo, and we're rolling this thing nonstop. We didn't run immediately for corporate sponsorship because we don't want, anybody to take control. We don't want the super rich to control the messaging. We don't want people who are poor and have a poor vision. We're not talking about economically poor, but poor in their vision, who, because of their statehood or because of their state of mind, they don't have a wide enough, broad enough vision to be able to talk. So this film can speak for both of them and bring them together. So we're asking people to help us, make some donations to this thing. This is going to get done. It'll be rolling around to festivals, to town halls, obviously online, and we're talking obviously movie companies, television companies to get it out there. But this is the people's movie to stop poverty.
It sounds like it's something that you would see at the Sundance Festival. Honestly, just looking at the trailer of it, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up there.
You'll be the first to know.
So, Mr. Toby, what are your plans? What events or what causes or what volunteerism or what are you doing that people need to be looking out for you?
Well, actually, every single month and probably a few times out of the month, the Book Bank Foundation is either all across the country. We're making a small effort. Small does not mean size always. It does not mean scale. But the little bit that I can do, like there's sometimes our foundation, we reach hundreds of people. Sometimes we reach thousands of people. We've reached hundreds of thousands in my life. And I'm praying to reach millions, whether it's by messaging or by a direct connection. But, we do these critical thinking classes, and, we connect with other shelters, and we connect with other foundations and organizations to do things jointly. The big one we do at the end of the year is called Shelter from the Streets, where we take these bus, we go around all 5 boroughs in New York, and we try to reach as many people as we can with an inspiring word and bring them either medicine or toys, books, food, and, have some critical thinking sessions and talk to people. The other pieces we do in Atlanta, we do a Thanksgiving drive where we go around to women's shelters, women who are abused, and children that have been abused. Some of them are hiding from people that are trying to hurt them or destroy them, and some are to just brothers who need help. And obviously all across the country, we do joint ventures, and we partner up with other foundations to try to make a difference. So that's the Book Bank Foundation, which is www.thebbf.org. And obviously, check me out on social media. We're making a movement to try to bring people to take a peek at this little trailer. You can go to GlennTobyFilms.com, and obviously if you follow my Facebook, Instagram, or the Twitter, it will take you to this Indigo, where we're asking people whether you donate $1. Some people have donated $100, but whatever you can do to help us bring a voice to those with no voice, those with not the opportunity to be able to talk on a bigger scale, and platforms like this make it possible.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
All right, everyone. So we definitely have to hit him up on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And what were you about to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm the type of person that's not easily impressed by folks, but I will tell you, Mr. Toby, and I love your last name because that's my wife's first name, but I will tell you, sir, that you are one impressive individual, and you don't impress people by your material possessions because Lord knows you got it going on, brother. I done saw your stuff, bro. I saw the Bentley, brother. I saw it. But I tell you, people are not impressed not only by your material possessions, but how you were able to be yourself, help other people out to become better selves within themselves, and that's how you were able to rise up. You didn't step on anybody. You have pulled up so many people and gotten teams together and gotten people to help people, and that is just a wonderful aspect that you can be successful by doing the right thing. And if you need an example, Mr. Glenn Toby is one. And that's all I got to say about this wonderful, wonderful man. You go right ahead, sweetheart.
I just wanted to know if Mr. Toby had anything that, before he got off air with us, that he wanted to make sure that we know, that we went to. Where can we find more information? Where this the trailer is going to be extended into, or anything else you wanted to add?
First of all, I'm going to say to all the listeners, the amount of promotion and marketing and support that I've gotten from this amazing show is incredible. Anybody that's listening to it, monitor your local airways, monitor your national airways, and listen to this program, which is more than just grassroots. I mean, this is the type of healthy programming that we need in this country. I mean, I listen to Sirius Radio a lot. A lot of it's the same thing. It's canonized by the same people. So promote and support things that are healthy. Support and promote things that are good-willed. I dedicate this month to all my haters, detractors, and all my crazies. They have motivated me, so I love them so much. They have motivated me to continue to scale and work as hard as I can, and I pretend they're like competition. Like they don't exist, but I pretend they're competition, and they keep me on my toes. They keep me working harder. So you got to love those haters. You got to give them something to talk about. Throw them off every now and then.
You don't have haters. Come on now. Come on. With all the good that you do. Come on.
I'm going to name them right now. But I love them so. I love them so much because I understand them. And the people that you would say the people that love me, they're not really loving me. They're loving the work of God in me, and they're working shadows that are cast upon me by the giants that brought me into this world and walk with me. That's where it is.
Wow.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. I think we need to have a dedication to the. Yeah, let's get on that bandwagon.
Oh, yeah, because the dedication to my haters.
Yeah, you got to do that. Get on that. We got to have a party.
I tell you, thank you, just like Glenn Toby said, thank you, because you guys motivate me, and you guys confirm that the things that we are doing here with Nyghtstorms All Action New Talk and the things we do in the community are actually the right things. They hated on Christ, so obviously, we must be doing something good if we in the same company as Glenn Toby, man. But folks just hating, but it's all right. They'll be okay. They'll jump on board.
Yeah, we love them. They'll be at the next Coach Drive. And I want to thank Women in PR, which is a great platform for if you want clean, direct media. I know Angie Thompson, somebody that fights for truth, fights for her people. Lisa Patterson is one of the greatest businesswomen I've known in the entertainment industry in the last 20 years. I mean, I have nothing but amazing people around me. The only thing I'm focusing on right now is getting this film out. Forget the money piece. If we can get this film everywhere for people to look at it, we're gonna drop it in the second quarter of 2014. I have people smarter, more talented, wiser, more gifted, more blessed that are on this train. Check it out. Stop Solutions to Overcoming Poverty.